The Boston Celtics take down the Dallas Mavericks in Game 1 of the 2024 NBA Finals, and I see a lot of people reacting pretty critically to this right now, saying that the Celtics might just sweep or the Mavericks are just done for. Now, I don't think that one game is indicative of how the series is going to go as a whole. A couple different points to talk about why I think that is. But the main thing is, one, with Jason Kidd as head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, historically, the Mavericks lose game ones. They've won one single game one in the 2 runs with Jason Kidd as head coach. This game one, you might think, is a little different, but even looking back against the Clippers and the Thunder, the Mavericks still lost by a substantial amount, and everyone was really worried after game one of both of those series, saying, oh, it's over. This was a pretty serious loss, but I will say, leading on to my next point, Kyrie Irving had 12 points. Kyrie Irving was outscored by Jaden Hardy, which Jaden Hardy got most of his points in garbage time. But regardless, Kyrie Irving was outscored by Jaden Hardy. That's not going to happen again. Kyrie Irving is not going to let the jitters get to him this whole series. He's not going to let the Celtics live rent-free in his head for the whole series. Now, there was a ton of pressure on him coming in game one. Everyone's booing. People are stomping on blow-up dolls of Kyrie Irving outside. Boston fans are complete menaces. He's got a lot on his mind. But it wasn't like, oh, Kyrie's just getting clamped. Like, this man was missing wide open threes, missing normal bunnies for him. Like, it was not just great. No, there was great defense on Boston's side of the floor, but it was not like the main reason Kyrie performed so poorly. He dribbled off his foot like twice. He had 3 or 4 turnovers that were just careless with the ball. Like, that's not the Kyrie Irving we're used to seeing. And we've seen him perform on this stage in the past with Cleveland. So we know that Kyrie can pick it up and be the clutch person, the clutch player that he is normally. Now, going forward, I doubt Boston's going to limit Luka to 1 assist a game for the rest of the series. I doubt Boston's going to be able to limit Kyrie to 12 points. And I doubt that the Mavericks are going to shoot 20% from 3 for the rest of the series. And I want to be completely honest, even if the Mavericks play great, it's still a very tough series. Like, Boston is just a great team. Defensively and offensively, Boston can close out on shooters super quick. That's one big thing I wanted to talk about is Derek Jones on the floor for offense. He's just kind of hurting the team a lot. Of course, you need Derek Jones on the floor to guard the big wings that the Celtics roster has, but it's a big problem for the Mavericks offense. He's really allowing the Celtics to just completely sag off of him. And even though the Celtics are still closing out, the reason why it's hurting the spacing so much is Derek Jones has quite a slow jumper for a wing. Like, he takes a second to catch it and shoot it. It's not ridiculously slow, but for this Boston Celtics roster that can just, they have Derek White and Drew Holiday, Tatum Brown, who can fly at you from any part of the court. Like, they're going to be able to make the closeout if it's Derek Jones and bother his shot. Now, he did hit 1 3 at the beginning of the game, but after that, there was nothing. I mean, Derek Jones, he got blocked 4 times. 4 of his 9 shot attempts he got blocked on. He's just got to do better with decision making, deciding when to take shots or when to be aggressive. He's just got to do a bit better. I think he also had some jitters going into this game, feeling the pressure a bit, but I think Derek Jones is going to step it up more going forward. PJ was pretty solid. We're going to need PJ to hit his threes, though. Out of the entire team, disregarding garbage time, the Mavericks hit 5 threes. 4 of those were Luka Doncic. 1 was Derek Jones at the very beginning of the game. Saw nothing else the rest of the game. Speaking of threes, the Mavericks are just going to have to get more off, too. They can't only shoot 27 threes and make 7 of them, 2 of those being in garbage time. Like, that's just not going to work against the Boston Celtics. They shoot too many threes. It's just, you're playing against math. But the Mavs don't need to shoot a ton more threes. They just need to hit some of them, draw the Celtics defense a little bit closer, space the floor a little bit more so Luka can get the rim rolling game going with Lively or Gafford. And when Maxi's in, he's just going to have to take threes because him being on the floor and not taking threes completely destroys the point of him playing the 5. Like he's only there to space the floor and be switchable on defense. He's really a 4, but he just can't play the 5 if that's how the game plan's going to go. Lively has just got to stay out of foul trouble. I know a lot of those fouls were ticky-tack, complete BS in my opinion, some of them, but he's just going to have to stay on the floor. He can't only play 15 minutes. Lively was a huge part of the run the Mavs went on in the third quarter. The second he got that 5th foul and was subbed out, the Celtics were completely able to do whatever they want. With Gafford on the floor, it's just really tough. He's just too slow-footed. He's really just out there, like, he's just going and drop every time, and that's just not going to work against pick and pop bigs like Al and KP. The Mavericks are just going to have to play a lot better. They're really going to have to play their game. They're going to have to play better on defense too. I mean, of course, there were still incredibly contested shots going in for the Celtics. Like, Sam Hauser is probably not going to go 100% from 3 every single game this series, and Porzingis is probably not going to shoot 75% true shooting every game this series. But you can't just allow a first quarter run like that, because I mean, the Mavericks won the second half marginally, but the Mavericks won the second half. Like, if you don't allow what, like a 15-0 run by KP on his own in the first quarter, like you're in the game. And if Kyrie Irving shoots like even average, you're in the game. So going forward, I don't think this is like crisis time for Mavericks fans. There's just too much variance in that game alone, not to mention how Kidd essentially goes into game ones without like any initial hard game plan. Like, it's kind of just, we'll play our game, see how it goes, see how they respond, see what kind of adjustments need to be made for game 2 going forward. Still, it looked rough, and the Celtics looked comfortable. Jason Tatum didn't even play amazing, and they still won by 20. You're just going to have to contest shots really well. You're going to have to be super disciplined on defense, because what happened last night with how they were able to just get whatever they want, it just can't keep happening if you want to win any games, because Luka is going to get his, and going forward, he's also probably going to get plenty of passes, plenty of potential assists. Guys are just going to have to knock down some shots, keep Boston honest when they're playing putting 2 to the ball. I heard someone say that Boston wasn't really blitzing. Yeah, they weren't committing to blitzes, but they had double coverage on a lot of plays, and they're able to do that with Derek White and Drew Holiday, because those guys can still make it all the way to the 3-point shooter and get a decent contest, or at least kind of throw off their shot. I saw a lot of that, and the Mavs are just going to have to be better at getting their shot off. PJ's really going to have to step it up. I mean, PJ played great, but he's going to have to step it up even more if we're going to want to win the finals, because this Boston Celtics team is just kind of unbeatable. Like, throughout history, how many teams have had this much versatility on offense and defense? Like, it's just not something you see. The Boston Celtics are completely cracked. KP is impossible to legitimately guard. You just kind of hope he misses some shots. You can't guard a 7'3" guy that has a super quick release and can shoot 8 to 10 feet behind the 3-point line. Like, that's not guardable feasibly. Yeah, Luka's just got to keep the ball under control a little bit better. Luka played good, don't get me wrong. He's just got to keep better control of the ball. He's got to be disciplined. We're going to have to see some Luka Doncic masterclasses to win some games against the Celtics, because that's what it takes, is absolute greatness to beat the Celtics team. And that is why I despise Boston. I despise Brad Stevens. I despise their entire staff, because this should not be allowed. You should not be allowed to have 5 guys with this much talent on one team. It's just completely ridiculous. I don't understand how it's even possible with the new second apron, how the luxury tax system works now. I don't understand how this team is even built. But Brad Stevens is a complete wizard. I have no idea how they pulled that off, but they have 5 essentially all-stars on this team. The other thing is, with KP back, Al gets to rest, and that makes his minutes so much more impactful. Because I was watching going into the series like, okay, maybe Al could be a little bit of a weakness that the Mavs could target. I mean, they did target him. It didn't work insanely well. He still did a great job, because now that he's older, He can't play 35 minutes a night, but when he's playing like 15, 20 minutes, Al is an insanely good role player off the bench. And he started this game, but you know what I mean. He's going to be off the bench going forward. And man, that's a tough team to beat, but I have hope. I don't think it's crisis time yet. I think the Mavericks are completely capable of guarding this team. I think if Lively can stay on the floor going forward, that's going to make a huge difference. Lively, his defense, his switchability, what he's proven to be in this postseason so far, the Mavericks need that. And I think as long as they can figure out how to not have Jaylen Brown or Tatum as the low man when they're attacking and going into pick and roll actions, or just driving to the basket in general, getting past their man, Jason Kidd's gonna have to figure out a way to target that and get the guards in the low man position. Like Derek White, Drew Holiday, you're gonna have way easier time finishing over them than Jaylen Brown, Tatum, or Porzingis. And that wraps it up for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the future.